I want to begin here with an intro. This is a bittersweet party, of course, because we are saying adieu to Father Chuck and Nancy. And I began thinking about maybe finding a quote about parting to share. And we have Shakespeare's "Parting is such sweet sorrow." I found that Dickens said, "The pain of parting is nothing compared to the joy of meeting again." And I like that one because we will see Chuck and Nancy again. They're only a little way down I-80. But I decided on one of my favorite great sages, and that is Winnie the Pooh. And I'm not being flip here. I'm not being flip. Winnie the Pooh, "How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard."
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
repeat that. How lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard.
That's
And I
nice.
thought that that suited this occasion because although Nancy and Chuck are leaving us, they have given us so much over these past 11 months. Their friendship, their energy, all these accomplishments. I feel like St. Mark's has been built up again in a way that it needed to be. And so although they won't be with us regularly, they have left us with all these things. So Winnie the Pooh was right?
Right.
So although we will miss you very, very much, we will be reminded of you all the time. And that's what's important. So that's my little intro. Now we're going to walk down memory lane today. And this is going to begin with a keynote speaker who has some memories to share. And that is Father Don Hanway. So Father Don, I am going to turn things over to you.
Don, where are you?
I can promise, Chuck, I won't say anything damaging. Okay, I'm just going to mention a few things. Chuck, as I hope most of you know, has had an entire life and career apart from St. Mark's, and yet our lives have been intertwined. And for the time we were here starting out, we were both in the bishop's study group, which was a group of young men who were considering ordination as a possible vocation. Then after I retired, Chuck sent me an email asking me how I felt about having taken the ordained path. And I told him something like this. I don't remember exactly what I said, but these are the three things that I would highlight now. I'm especially grateful for the friendships that I've made among parishioners. And that has been one of the highlights of my ordained ministry. I suspect you would second that as well. I am grateful for getting a theological education. I went the traditional route of going to seminary, where you have gone a different route, but I think we end up pretty much in the same place. And it was surprising to me that it was one of the most conservative members of the faculty at Virginia Seminary who really taught me, as we were studying the epistle to the Ephesians in Greek, taught me really what the good news is. I had thought I had an idea of what it is, but that clarified it for me a lot. And so I've always been grateful for that. Then I also found that although I'm not quite the preacher that Chuck is, I have enjoyed very much my preaching ministry. And while I was in the pulpit for essentially 22 years, I had the opportunity every week for a kind of a spiritual exercise, from studying the propers and preaching with the congregation on Sunday. So those are some things that I'm very grateful for. Now, Chuck has had a happy tendency to show up at the right times for us here at St. Mark. For example, he was a keynote speaker for the Courtyard Project fundraiser. Some of you will remember that. We had some serious drainage problems, which really traced back to when the this physical plant was constructed, and it was going to take, I don't know, somewhere in excess of $200,000 to fix these. So we had a dinner to kick off our fundraising effort, and Chuck was the speaker for that. So that was a good way to get that project going. He also happened to be Sunday supply for the Sunday when we got a visitation from Fred Phelps and his merry band of troublemakers from Wichita or Topeka, I guess. Anyway, they were in evidence. And of course, St. Mark's doesn't have the benefit of being shielded from the street, so they could pretty much overwhelm us if they wanted to. And Chuck had the opportunity to preach that day, and I'm sure that went well. Now, he was also here, this is a personal recollection, on All Saints Sunday, 2003, which was the day that we dedicated Marcus the Lion. And that was a happy day. And of course, I was just about ready to drop a bomb on the congregation at that point. And I think my letter may have already been in the mail. But that was a nice day celebrating the arrival of Marcus, who had been sculpted originally in clay by one of our graduate students, and then shipped off to Denver to be forged, and then brought back to Lincoln to be installed. And of course, it's, I don't know if you've looked closely, but there are some pretty sturdy bolts securing Marcus to the pad there. And I don't think any fraternity prank is likely to dislodge him in any near future. Well, of course, the thing we're most grateful for is that Father Chuck was willing to take on a task that he didn't know at the time he took it on. I'm sure that COVID-19 was going to become such a major problem, but it's made the year much more complicated than it would otherwise have been. But I know from all the reports and from my own contacts that he did a marvelous job for us, and we're very grateful that he was willing to divert from some of his other plans to spend this year with us. And so, but the other thing I wanted to mention, and this is not peculiar to Chuck or to me, is many of us have the idea that we sort of plan our lives, maybe plan our vocations. My experience is that's by no means the case. I think, a higher power is setting up opportunities for us, at least arranging the choices. Then it's up to us, of course, to say yes and walk through the doors that are open. But we're all very grateful, I think, that Father Chuck chose to spend this year with us. And I hope it was in some way rewarding for him also. He'll probably have a chance to talk later. I think that's enough of an introduction at this point, Pippa, so I'll turn it back to you now.
Well, thank you very much, Brother Don, for starting things off. Yes, indeed. Here we go. Now, Robbie, we now have what we have not had, I don't think, but for the past year, we've had a church historian in Robbie, and I believe she has some pictures that she can share with us all. Am I right, Robbie?
I do, and I'm going to share my screen with all of you. And while I don't know the full background on any of these photos, I'm hoping that either Father Chuck, Nancy, or even Don Hanway can add their 2 cents worth. These are photos that I've found from the archival newspapers that I've been researching in the Nebraska Diocese Archives. So let me just pull up that slideshow and I'll get started.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
As Don Hanway said, Father Chuck has spent a good portion of his life interacting with St. Mark's. The first evidence that I came across was in 1962. Oh, why isn't that advancing? Just a minute here. There we go.
Yes.
In the March 1962 Nebraska Churchman newspaper, he was photographed as working on a newsletter of what was then the University Chapel.
Typewriter.
That's the exact same office where he has spent most of the last year.
Yeah.
All that hair.
Father Chuck, would you like to say anything about this picture?
Well, the quality of the photography is not what it is today. I appear really good in that picture.
It was something of a challenge to get all of the newspaper dots out of that picture so it would
Yeah.
display as a picture rather than a whole set of dots. But thank goodness to Photoshop, there is a tool for that.
Wow.
That's interesting.
The newsletter would be taken out into the other room and folded on an old-fashioned folding machine, which Father Jim Roach, he wasn't father yet, but Jim Roach decided how to experiment with and see if a Daily Nebraskan would do it. And so we didn't have a folding machine for quite a while.
Oh,
And how big was the circulation of this newsletter?
I need it tonight.
What?
How large was the circulation? of
Oh,
the
I don't,
newsletter?
heavens, I not 60, 70 people.
Wonderful.
So is that the same picture of Christ that's in the office now?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes, and that's where it
Wow.
was
stained
taken.
glass window. Yep.
Yeah, at that time, you only had the parish hall, and it was an L-shaped. We went to church in what is now the parish hall. Oh,
That's
no,
right.
actually, you guys went to church in the basement, didn't you?
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, because your dad is the one that brought it upstairs, because he wanted it to feel temporary,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I heard.
Yeah. Ah.
Yeah, because I did not start coming there until church was upstairs. But
Me
so there was
too.
just this L-shaped thing, and where the big parking lot is, there was something called Cornhusker Co-op. And I thought, how on that skinny piece of land are they going to put a church? But I did not realize that it had been completely figured out before part of it was built.
Mhm, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
This is sort of a forerunner of Opal working on the Lion's Roar then, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It's exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't look nearly as nice as Opal's Lion's Roar, but it was.
Is that even an electric typewriter?
Oh,
I don't
I
think,
doubt it.
no, I don't think that one is.
Manual.
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Everything in the picture is antique.
Except Chuck.
No, he is.
Well,
He's not
he will
antique
be.
there.
He will be by the time we're done with the slideshow.
Okay, we'll go on to the next slide. Another thing that Father Chuck and a number of others that are on this call were involved in was the Canterbury Club. I don't know that Father Chuck is actually in this picture because the picture was not very good, but there was caroling at a pre-Christmas dinner party at St. Mark's on the campus. There was also mention of some caroling that was done at the Macmillan House at their family home during some winters.
No, I don't want that.
comments
Well,
on
I'm
this
having
picture?
trouble telling who those are, but
Yeah.
the one on the left is Dave Clark, who just made a gift to the Building on Faith.
Uh-huh.
And the one in the middle is Joe Crichton, and I have no idea what became of Joe.
Wow.
Don, recognize anybody in there that I'm not?
No, the rest of the faces are pretty indistinct.
Mhm.
And of course, Dave, for those who don't know, was a postdoc in chemistry when he came here,
Yes.
and he got involved with Margaret Armstrong, who is the one of Father Armstrong's two daughters. Father Armstrong's last year here was the year before George Peake arrived on the scene. But Dave Clark then was out in Kearney and may still be there for all I
Yes.
know.
Yep, he is.
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm.
Okay, moving on to the next slide. There is George Peake.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my gosh.
This-
The only
this brings-
person not afraid of this guy on the pancake suppers times was Nan.
Yeah, yeah. And I noticed that and I thought, wow, she displays a lot of cool,
Yeah, he sure did. Yeah.
not panicking when the lion roared.
Well, actually, I was in Canterbury Club, but I was only a senior in high school. My sister was in graduate school and she was in Canterbury. And so I asked Father Pete, can I join Canterbury? And I didn't really understand at the time that anytime a 17-year-old says, can I join Canterbury? The answer is yes. So, yeah, that is a memory.
Moving along.
Okay.
Okay, next we have
Oh, there we go.
three people, excuse me, who won an Outstanding Service Award in 1964. The previous mentioned Margaret Armstrong, our own Father Peake, and James Roach.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yeah, Jim Roach, yeah.
Comments
Jim
on this
and
one?
Don and Chuck all took the same philosophy courses.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
And I remember when they had read Camus, I am a sick man. Chuck loved always quoting this. I am a sick man. I am a something man. I think my liver is diseased.
Yes, yes. Prophetic.
Yeah. Either 1 year before or 1 year later, you could have seen the same picture with Nancy in it and Father Mel Slaughter. And I can't remember the third person that year that we're getting the, yeah.
Well, I probably just haven't got to that year in the churchman yet because I was just starting the 60s when it came time for us to come to Arizona. So I still have some research to do. If that picture is there, I'll find it.
Yeah.
And it too will become part of our archives.
Yeah.
And even more Canterbury activities. And here is Father Chuck, Nancy, Linda Hartung, and William K. Wood at St. Barnabas Church in Omaha, where they were talking about the Canterbury Club, I believe.
I don't know what happened to Bill Kaywood at all. The caption there is wrong. It should be Lisa Hartung.
Oh, okay.
And
I will correct it.
project information was to go out into the parishes and encourage their financial support of building St. Mark's on the campus.
Ah,
James.
Right, and I think mostly it was Bishop's study group kids that did that, right?
Yep,
Mhm.
yep,
Well, I know I made a
Yeah, I know
couple
Don did it,
trips.
Yeah.
yep, you did, Don, right. And that's Father James Bryce Clark in the
Oh,
center.
yeah.
I have a question for Nancy Peake. It looks
Yes.
like the ladies are wearing what we as Catholic children call chapel veils.
You
Is
bet.
that a thing that Episcopalian girls did too?
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Gloves and hats until Jackie Kennedy was in the White House. And then it was mantillas and chapel veils. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Chuck, this is Mary. Do you know where Lisa Hartung was from?
Yes, Omaha, Bellevue. Her dad was at the base there.
At Offutt.
At Offutt.
I recognize the name. That's why I'm asking.
Mhm.
Oh,
Your picture's right in front of the pulpit, and over the pulpit there was a light. And when you got up to preach, which is where we had to speak from when we went there, the lights would go down in the rest of the church, and the light would come up on the pulpit. And that lasted until someone 5 minutes later waved a red flag from the balcony. And that was the sign you had 1 minute to finish up.
and only the male students
We're
were
allowed
allowed to speak.
Yeah.
The rest of us went to the coffee hour and things like that.
Made the coffee.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember that. Things have changed a bit since then.
Thank goodness.
thankfully.
Yes.
Thankfully.
And next we have
My.
Bishop Rosher introducing new clergy to the annual council meeting. Among them, our own Dr. Reverend Charles Peak.
And Jim Ransom was, Rod Michael was to the left, or actually to the bishop's right, and then Jim Ransom next to him. And John Stanley was canon to the ordinary for, who was that bishop?
Oh, well, after Raucher left, then we had the drunk one.
Varley.
Varley.
Varley,
Yeah.
Bishop Varley, yeah. John Stanley was the guy who advised me to go out of state for a while and work in a big parish, which I did. I went to Kalamazoo, Michigan. So he was the guy that steered me up there because he had been in that diocese before he came to Nebraska.
He ended up at the largest church in Fort Worth, and that's the church that maintained the Episcopal church in that area when the Bishop of Fort Worth tried to take Fort Worth out of the Episcopal church.
Oh, wow.
Who's on?
Okay, well, Jim Ransom, Rod Michael, and Chuck Peak were all Bishop's study group.
Exactly, with Don.
I remember I didn't really remember Robert Elanius, but I do remember that when he had children, they said, oh, if he has a daughter, she'll be miscellaneous.
Oh,
Oh my God. But one distinction there, Jim Ransom, Don Hanway, and Chuck Peak are still father, and Rod Michael is Bishop Michael.
That's right. Yeah.
Well,
Where?
He was Bishop of Long Island.
No.
Father Michael actually baptized our oldest child in Scottsdale.
Yes.
So
What?
Erica was baptized. We came back from Colorado and I had her baptized in my church that I grew up in at St.
Yeah.
Andrew.
Great guy.
He was a great guy and he had his hands full out there.
He did, and he absolutely saved the cathedral at Long Island from a lot of.
Well, and actually, after he baptized her, he held her up over his head and walked down the center aisle and said, welcome to God's kingdom. And it was great. It was great.
Yes. Yes. They adopted, Rod and Marie adopted a number of children. they had a large family by the time they finished. So
Oh, how wonderful.
they're both good people. Yeah.
Well, as I said, my research was somewhat incomplete at this point. So I'm sure there's many other photos and remembrances, but that's all I've been able to find at this point.
That's
Except
we've
for this
burned
one
most of them.
photograph, which I had requested be taken
oh,
after
yes.
I found the 1962 photograph.
Isn't that great?
That's a long time ago.
Abby, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
You need a cap.
58 years apart, same position.
That was
Thank
wonderful.
you, Robbie. Thank you.
Great show, Robbie.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
You will see
So I
most
thought-
of the rest of those come up in the history book when that's finished.
Yes. Yes.
So I thought while we were still on memory lane, anybody who had another memory to share or an incident or something from just this year that was special, I can say that I remember Father Chuck's first sermon with us in February. That's when we were still in church, of course. It was before we all were sheltering away. I think you will also remember he told us to get off our oasis. Get off your oasis. And I thought, I actually ran to Opal and I said, find a priest with a sense of humor. Didn't I, Opal? Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So that's my story. Anybody else? Todd, your hand is up.
Thank you. I wanted to remark that it seems like my personal life has come full circle with the Peak families.
Yeah.
I've had the great good fortune of being mentored by Father Peak, the first, and spent many of my youthful years at St. Mark's Pro Cathedral in Hastings being mentored in religious studies by the stern-faced Father Peak. But he was a good mentor for us all. And then being fortunate enough to circle back and meet Chuck and Nancy on a number of different occasions. And then having this past year, being one of the wardens while he was our interim rector. And one of the really nice pieces that I first heard him deliver was the one that Don Hanway alluded to, which was October of 1999, when I was warden for working with Don Hanway. And we launched the Foundations of Faith campaign to raise the money for the courtyard redevelopment. So it struck me as 21 years later, again, serving as a warden, and Father Chuck is here to help launch another one of the fundraising campaigns. So I think we found at least one of the right people for the right job assignments here. One more than Don Hanway gave him credit for, but right person, right time. We're lucky to have Chuck and Nancy with us during this period, but it really struck me that that was an interesting
Yes.
conversion of my experiences with the Peak families, serving as warden a couple times and having a chance to work with them on a couple of fundraising campaigns we've had during
From the bottom to the top. The foundation to the roof.
Yeah. Father Chuck and Nancy, it's just been a joy having you with us, and all the good work, certainly the right people at the right time for St. Mark's on the campus. And we are grateful for all you've provided and for your great good humor that was also reflected in that presentation you made in October of 1999. I remembered for years and finally asked you sometime after that event if you would actually have a script that you had worked from. And it was a well-written script that was the presentation. And I was just amazed that it was copied and that 20 some years later, you could put your hands on that thing and get a copy, which I've asked Robbie Lowe to archive, and she's agreed to do that. But in there, one of the really funny things, and the footnote, funny may have overstated it, but as warden, I hosted about a case of wine for our event, and it may have been particularly funny because I was enjoying a lot of the wine. But you remarked at the time that it might have been just a little anal retentive of us, perhaps, to continue to use hyphens for so many years in St. Mark's on the campus. And was it ever going to be possible to get rid of all those hyphens in the name of St. Mark's on the campus? And at the time that struck me as a funny observation, because those of us who'd been there for a number of years realized it was always that way. And it was just a matter of you changing or making the observation that allowed us to perhaps shake the hyphens out of the name eventually. But again, thank you so mumuch. And Bob Kozelka, welcome to the party. Thank you very much.
Yes, welcome, Bob. Everybody noticed that Chuck and Nancy have a visitor.
Yes, I've been sitting here looking at the screen, wondering where Bob Kozelka was, and then had someone knock on the door, and here he is.
It's in your home. So I think Bob has something to share with us and you.
I think he does. I'm going to let him into the screen.
Okay. All right.
So I'm here to do something special.
Can you hear him?
No, come a little closer.
A little closer. Okay.
Okay.
But we want, okay, Chuck, you need to be a little closer, but that's okay. This is from what I submitted, and it was accepted. The George H. Peak Memorial Award is given out by our parish only occasionally for above and beyond regular service to the parish. The most recent recipient was Cindy White Crawford when she left for Pennsylvania. So this nomination, I'm nominating Chuck and Nancy Peak for the award. I made the nomination because as an interim clergy couple, they have served and loved us far beyond what that role requires. It came to us at a time when I think it was very rough for our parish's transition between rectors, and together made us forget that travail and move forward. I'm making the Father Chuck became the sage rector and spiritual priest that we needed. His imagination and self-demanding worship services were well beyond what a full-time rector would have to do, let alone in a pandemic. The courtyard Sunday services go down in my memory as the most beautiful ever held in our parish, the ones this summer. He served as a wise and sympathetic spiritual advisor to me, and I'm sure to you three as wardens. This was directed to the three wardens, like the three Sopranos. Together, Father Chuck and Nancy were ever present and involved as the parish undertook normal and not too normal tasks, which ranged from worship services to a garage sale to writing letters to and stuffing envelopes for the Building on Faith campaign. I know that Father Chuck has been very appreciative and honored by his chance to serve as interim for the pastor at our parish. To honor him and Nancy with this award named for his father would be an ideal frosting on the cake to show our appreciation. And so that's for you.
Oh my gosh.
Yay.
Well,
this particularly meaningful to me because I could have picked about 13 or 14 people from the parish who should have gotten this. So
this is the award, and it reads, the George H. Peak Memorial Award presented to Father Chuck and Nancy Peak in appreciation of their loving service as the interim clergy couple for St. Mark's on the Campus 2020.
Oh my gosh.
Yay.
that is
I get
that-
that.
Wonderful.
It's a little hard to see through glass. This is tremendous. Let me put this where it's not going to get broken. Yeah, let's get that down.
Yes, I saw that.
Here, go ahead and sit down. This is certainly to drive to Kearney, Nebraska in the middle of winter. It's a huge deal.
It is.
But weather cooperated. It's
Oh,
great.
well, I'm glad. Here, have a seat. Have a seat. And he'll bring another chair.
Well, I'm not going to stay because I'm going back to Lincoln. And I don't.
Tonight?
Yeah. Well, I have someone helping me who,
Okay.
on the agreement that he could photograph all day. So
Can he come in?
No, he's down photographing.
Oh, we live 2 blocks from the railroad track in Kearney, and the trains go by every 15 minutes. So Bob's friend will get a lot of pictures.
Right. Bob's likely to want to start a railroad group after being out here to see the train.
Well, I'm on a railroad group.
He knows.
So anyway, I'm sorry I missed the first part, and I hope it was recorded, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
Robbie says yes. Yeah.
Okay, good,
Yeah.
because I missed Don Hanways.
Yes.
You did.
Don did a good job.
I have
Sure.
some, and Don ended by saying we may let Chuck say something later on.
Okay, well, I want to stay for that. So I'll turn this back to whoever's the MC for today.
Oh, well, is that me? Well, we can continue down memory lane as we have. I think there are some people who might want to share something, but Father Chuck, we haven't really given you a chance to hold forth if you would like to, or would you like more of our tributes to you? We have.
Oh, I'll hold fire for a little bit while you speak, and then if there's time at the end, I will have a couple of things to say.
Excellent. All
There
right.
will be time.
So Laura has her hand up.
I would just like to say that I totally agree with Bob that the two of you are exactly what we needed. You came at the right time. You encouraged us. You invigorated us. Your sense of humor, your kindness, everything was just exactly what we needed. Thank you.
Agreed.
Agreed, Mel.
Agree with that, totally.
Oh, that's awfully nice. I wrote you a thank you note for the fudge sauce, but then last night we had it on ice cream. And I said to Chuck, I think I need to write a second thank you note. It was wonderful to taste, but on ice cream, it was even better.
Oh yeah, that's its ideal home. Although I know people who dip peppermint sticks into it and just eat it out of the container.
There's an idea.
Ani.
Yeah, I just so appreciate Father and Nancy Peak, because you always know when somebody accepts you as you are, fully, totally, without, barriers and all that stuff and everything. And I'm used to that. And because I'm kind of weird. And Father Chuck and Nancy, their hearts were so open, and so I could be who I really am. Maybe not a good thing, but I just had fun. But what I liked about him most was the way he blessed my quilts that I made when I gave them away. And, he always wrote something out specifically for the person. And it was so awesome. And I'm just hoping that you people who chose the new priest warned him, there is a lady in our congregation that wants quilts blessed. Are you a participant in that? But, he blessed, I think, about 5 quilts. And so and Nancy helped, pull the fabric together when I was putting them with matting and everything. And I just felt so loved and warm and human, and so if that's what the kingdom of God is like, yay, I'm in.
Thank you. Yeah.
Steve, you had your hand up, Steve.
I'm one of the few perhaps who first connected with Chuck and Nancy in a non-church way. It was through our involvement with the Willa Cather Foundation. And I first heard him give a paper on Willa Cather. And that led to some tremendous church experiences though. And it's been my great privilege to assist Chuck at the altar from Grace Church Red Cloud to Winchester, Virginia. And one Sunday I happened to be in Washington, D.C., and I thought, oh, why don't I just go to the National Cathedral today? So I did. And when the service is over, I turned around and there were Chuck and Nancy Peak. And the three of us also had the good fortune when we were in Rome to receive communion from the Archbishop of Canterbury. So some really tremendous experiences. So when I came back to Lincoln in retirement after having been away for over 25 years, I thought, and it was not immediate, but very shortly, that Chuck and Nancy came here as well. And I thought, well, that's kind of miraculous that all these connections, and here we are together in the same parish, and isn't that wonderful? And indeed it has been. But I also thought of the connection to our other joy, Willa Cather. And and she writes a lot about miracles. And the kind of miracle I just mentioned of running into Chuck and Nancy here. And in Death Comes for the Archbishop, she says, the miracles of the church seem to me to rest not so much upon faces or voices or healing power coming suddenly near to us from afar off, but upon our perceptions being made finer, so that for a moment, our eyes can see and our ears can hear what is there about us always.
Oh, wow.
And hearing everybody tonight, paired with my own feelings, that idea that Chuck and Nancy are miracles among us always really hits home.
That's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm scanning the screen here. Anybody else want to raise a hand? Anybody have something to share? Yes, Steve Blum, two Steves.
Well, I want to say, Father Chuck, and Nancy, how much I have enjoyed sharing a little piece of the Finding Faith Forum with you. And a couple things I want to say about that. The first 3 months or so, I would pick a scripture verse well in advance because I was very proactive initially, and well in advance of knowing what the topic would be. It would always seem like the Holy Spirit worked wonders to line up the verse with your discussion topic. Then I got lazy and I would wait till Wednesday or Thursday to pick a verse after I knew your discussion topic, and it never seemed to line up quite as well. The other thing I want to say about Finding Faith is how much I appreciated. I'd have an idea and I'd shoot you an email. How about we try to write a psalm as a group, a psalm of lament, or listen to John Coltrane, or do evening prayer. And every time I'd float an idea, you'd say, well, that sounds like a great idea. So I always felt affirmed and ready to go. And I appreciate that. And I've really enjoyed, even though I'm ancient, I don't have an ancient history with you. I've just really enjoyed getting to know you and share that time.
Thank you.
Finding Faith was a very meaningful part of the time there. Thank you.
Yes.
Pamela.
Well, I'm going to jump in really quickly because my knowledge of Father Chuck is probably the most recent and smallest of everybody here. But I really felt I had to turn out to say thank you for the patio Sunday Eucharist services. I can't tell you what it meant to me personally to come and have a service in person, Eucharist in person, a beautiful liturgy outside in the beautiful courtyard that I've loved forever. And you made it very, very special. And I'm sorry it got too cold to continue. It's unfortunate, but bound to happen. But really for those magic times, those magic weeks or a couple of months, it meant the world that we could, instead of looking at a service online or, we're having morning prayer, we could have a real, honest to gosh, Eucharist service with real Eucharist. I mean, wow, that this summer, that was very special. So thank you, both of you, and thank you for the year that you've given here, which I know meant so much.
Thank you, Pam. Thank you.
Pam, I'll just say that people had talked to me so much about you that when we started the courtyard service, I looked out and I think it was Todd Sneller, but I don't remember who was standing right next to me. And I said, "Who's the woman who's come in?" And they said, "That's Pam Starr." And my heart leapt. I had heard so much about who you were. I was so happy that you came that Sunday.
Well, you're so kind, but let me tell you, my heart leapt every Sunday that you preached and that you gave the Eucharist. And it just, yeah, I think it was the thing that kept St. Mark's being special during this challenging time, because people came from far and near to have Eucharist in real life.
Yep.
Thank you.
We might have to have regular summer courtyard Eucharists now.
Yes, good idea.
Sue Steiniger, did you have your hand up? I couldn't tell.
No, I didn't. I just am on my phone. I couldn't get on my tablet, but I get to see who's talking, and I was trying to adjust things. I appreciate everything that Father Chuck has done. An amazing person. I wish I'd gotten to know him better and longer.
I think a lot of us can say that.
This is a congregation full of amazing people. It's been such a treat. You're all so different and so talented and knowledgeable and caring, and it's just and active in your ministry. It's a wonderful place.
It's a very special place, that's for sure, and a very unusual mix of people. I've always felt that about St. Mark's.
Yes.
I once, up in the choir loft, someone was talking about bringing a new, I don't know, tenor in or something, and said, he's a little quirky, and everybody said, well, that will be fine at St. Mark's.
Yes.
Anybody else want to hold forth?
Well, one thing I wanted to say is the way Chuck and Nancy have responded to every speaker by saying something personal about them. I went to George and Dorothy's 50th wedding anniversary, and there were about 400 people there.
Yeah.
And Father Peak had something funny to say to each person about an experience that they had had together. So Chuck comes by it honestly. That's the way he was raised. I think Dot would be proud.
Yeah. Dot, I don't know about that, but Dot was the one feeding George those lines to give about who said what.
Well, I just want to say thank you, Chuck, and thank you, Nancy.
Yeah,
and I really don't, when I don't have any words, that means, that probably means more than when I have words. So thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you, Larry.
Larry, I just read last night, I just read your poem about the Last Supper. And it's one of those poems that you say to yourself, gosh, I wish I'd written that. It's just a splendid piece of work. I was so blessed by it. Thank you so much for the book. And I'm stunned by what you did in that poem. It's great. Thank you.
Thank you both for being here.
The lounge has always been a great place for conversations, and COVID, of course, got in the way of that. But in the beginning, Larry was there and Connie was there and Dan Aline was there. And there were some really wonderful conversations even then. And then, of course, COVID cut it all off.
I never, between the two services, when we were still able to meet and we were having the early and the late service, we were having that forum in the fellowship hall. And something had been said one week. And so the next week I had kind of outlined some things that we might say about that next week. And before I got in there to do that, Don Steiniger said, I have a comment about last week, and he went on about 10 minutes and it was absolutely gorgeous. And I felt I should just tear up what I wrote because it was such a great response to what he said. So
They're praising you for your participation in church affairs. Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, Don.
I couldn't get it on the bigger screen.
Yeah.
There we go. Anything you want to say?
Goodbye, Father Chuck.
Yeah, that's nice. Thank you. And thank you for the advice about the zinnias. They all came up.
We're getting ready for Don's birthday. He's a New Year's baby.
Oh. All right.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday.
Happy
happy birthday, Don.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
We haven't heard from Father Chuck yet.
Yes, it's time.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I probably wouldn't have been prompted to say anything except that Don said at the beginning, I won't say anything bad about you. Which of course implies a moral virtue on Don's part by being reticent. But it certainly implies that there might be bad things that could be said. And, I'm deeply grateful that he avoided them because he knew a lot of them. I might just add that Jim Roach and Don and I did take some of the same philosophy classes with this distinction. Don got A's in them. You've given me a way to express my feeling about ministry for a long time. I would have put it differently, but now I would put it this way. It's always smart to go someplace following a drainage problem. People are not in a mood to find your faults. They already have faults on their hands to find, and you got to get a good honeymoon out of that. And so I used to just say, always follow somebody who's fallen down on the job, and then you look good. But I'm going to revise that to follow a drainage problem. That's great. And there is a moral in all that in what you've done over the last 20 years. You should start with the foundations and end with the roof. If the foundations are good, then the roof has a chance of standing up. But if the foundations crumble, your roof isn't going to be much use. I do want to comment on one story of Don's. Don is the reason. I'm not the reason. I would love to be the reason, but Don is the reason that the Phelps party came up from Topeka, Kansas, and were there at the church on the Sunday I was filling in. And Don, they were coming, and was kind enough to give me about a 4-day notice that they were coming. But the prize of that day was St. Mark's filled. It was absolutely full. People came out to witness to what we believe is the gospel. And I know those people who were picketing must have been impressed by that. But the real impression was Frank and Maxine Morrison came that day. He walked through the picket line. that Phelps had set up outside. And once they walked through it, Frank turned and looked at them and said to them, "Your mothers would be ashamed of you."
Oh, yeah.
So
It was a stunning moment.
It was. They had signs like, which you all remember, thank God for 9/11. There were terrible signs, terrible.
Frank didn't say that.
No, Frank did not say it in a resident, and I might have not have remembered that, but I looked up as Don was telling this, I looked up at the screen and the Selmayrs had come on the screen. And I thought for a moment, my God, Frank Morrison has come in into the room. He had the horn rimmed glasses and it's just wonderful. But I'm as much as I admired Frank, I'm really glad it's you, David.
Well, I'm supposed to be Warren Buffett, Chuck.
At airports, we always ask, and one stewardess said, "Are you Warren Buffett?" on the plane, and he said, "If I was Warren Buffett, would I be flying like this?"
That's wonderful. I do want to tell you too. During all the time there, the support of the Selmayrs has been unflagging, and it's meant so much to me to get notes from you and this and that saying you like this or that, and I've really appreciated it. Too, you know, this began on a snowy morning, and after meeting at the church, Todd and Pippa took us out to Piedmont Bistro or whatever it's called for lunch. There couldn't have been a more pleasant beginning to a ministry there. And we just had a delightful lunch, and we got some business done, but we also got to talk, and I got to catch up a little bit with Todd, because Todd's family were very dear to my parents, and I counted on them quite a bit in his ministry in Hastings. So it was just a delightful way to launch into this time together. And it pointed out to me how much we've had to cope with this year because of COVID. We just can't do those kinds of things we'd have all liked to do, and made me deeply appreciative that before that hit, we were able to be out at Mark and Susan Music's with Robbie and Charles and with Sarah Leroy and Richard. And that's when the news came that we were going to have to pull the plug on public worship. And I can't tell you how grateful I was as we drove home that night that I wasn't alone. It just meant a lot that we were together. And we've managed to work together on quite a few things since then. And that's been great. Steve, you're so right about, first of all, if I want to know about miracles, Cather is as good a teacher about miracles as anybody I know, and I've read quite a few theological tomes that I don't even know the titles of anymore, but those were great. And see you later. All right, I got to say goodbye. Yes. Right. Thank you for the surprise visit. I love you.
Yeah.
All righty.
But I'll be back.
All right, good. You know where we live.
Yes.
Great. I'm seeing, while we were having people were talking, and I'm seeing this car drive up in front, and I thought, oh no, not now.
Father Chuck, this is Mark. I just want to let you know, when Bob said he'll be back, he means he'll be back for dinner.
That's right. I think he's too far away to hear that, but I will make sure he knows it. That's probably what he said. I wish he were back for dinner. Anyway, Steve and I and a fellow from Colorado named Daryl Palmer have for quite a number of years been the staff for the service every year at the time the Cather Spring Conference goes on. And sometimes Steve has actually taken that service by himself. Sometimes he's assisted. Sometimes he's done this or that. And this last year, of course, we had to do it by a Zoom program. We went out and recorded it beforehand, counted it. And it turned out to be a pretty good experience, I think. We're waiting to see what happens. But you would all, I think, enjoy sometime a trip to, if you haven't ever been to Red Cloud and seen the Cather array of things out there, I think you'd enjoy it. And no better time to do that than when we're having the service at Grace Church, which you'd also enjoy, I think. The Psalms that we wrote for the pandemic on finding faith, I hope, and Robbie can tell us, I hope you have the copies of those for the archives, Robbie.
I do.
Oh, good. Good. They were gems, and we used them 3 Sundays in a row, I believe it was, at the courtyard services in place of the assigned psalm. And no big rod from above came out of the church and swatted us for doing that. And
I thought they were great.
I thought they were wonderful, and I thought they were so expressive, and I'm glad we have them. You might want to know, Pam, that we have had a visit from Midwest Sound and Light, and they have given us a number of estimates for ways we could boost our sound system. And one of the things that they've estimated for us, so that the new rector and you could all think about whether you want to do it, is it would be useful if you want to go back to having courtyard services in the summer to have a speaker out in the courtyard that took sound from inside the church out into the courtyard. And so I hope the vestry will take that up and look at it and see. Be a big, I think it would be really nice. And I was sorry we didn't have it this summer, but I join with you in saying there are several highlights of this ministry for me, but the summer courtyard services were, I don't know whether it's because we'd been deprived of it and we now could go, or whether it was because it was outside, or because we were sitting on a courtyard where the drainage system had been fixed a long time. But it was just superb. It was so much fun. And the thing that has been a constant, and this is really remarkable, I think, we've had to, just because of the way sound was working and we needed a limited crew, we've kind of had to do without lectors. And I know many people who love to read the lessons have been kind of shortchanged by that. But miraculously, the choristers have kept up work. And I didn't see him earlier, but I see Roger's face there. And Laura's is on there, and Janine's and Pippa's, and am I missing somebody? Kevin is there. And we had John Flint on the Zoom carols. It's been wonderful what they've been able to do to keep us in music. And I think it's been the one holdover from pre-COVID that we could count on. It's just been tremendous. So I was also moved to think, with that picture of us putting out a newsletter years ago, I think the Lion's Roar has become one of the really nice newsletters around the diocese, and I get to see a lot of them, and it is so informative and is so beautifully done. It's done by the communications committee with so much love and talent that, gosh, I just think it's a sign of all the things that you guys can be proud of. And among those signs, Pippa, I don't know how many people you wrote helping you with that, but the signs out in the courtyard are just such a magnificent improvement out there. And I think the whole place, particularly, and maybe because of COVID, but particularly because it gave us a reason for the carisses to go through, sanitize, get the things spruced up. The whole place now says welcome to me. The whole place, and it says welcome to everybody. Just as Connie said, welcome to you just as you are, because God will take care of where we're going, but he doesn't get a chance to work with us and get us any place if we're not welcomed as we are, because we don't come in otherwise. And but having said that, I want to say where most of you are, and Connie, this includes you, is I think a rather special place. It's been an absolute honor to get to minister among you, and a great pleasure 98.9% of the time. That doesn't, well,
The other 1.1%.
yeah,
That's what I was wondering.
there's always that. You know, we're flawed human beings, and even sometimes in our zeal, we get in each other's way. But the fact is, there's just a lot of good discipleship, a lot of zeal for the ministry of the church, a lot of good prayer life, a lot of good charitableness. And I could pick all over this screen. We've witnessed what you've all done for building on faith, and we've witnessed all kinds of things. And I'll go way back in time to say this to us, this quality of devotion is what reminded Nancy and me most of what it was like when we were there before. And I'm really happy to see Judy Buhar's face on that, because Dick and Judy Buhar were major devoted parishioners there for a lot of years. And it meant a lot that Judy's still there, but it just wasn't, I felt like I was home when I got there. And I feel like I'm leaving home now. So it is bittersweet, but you're a remarkable group of people. And it's been my privilege to be with you. I know Nancy wants to add some things.
Well, I was looking at Beth Hemmer's face and thinking a few years ago, I can't really remember how many now, Beth and I were at annual council, they seat you at tables with people not from the parish so that you can get acquainted around the diocese. And Beth was at the table where I was, and she was talking about the 2 refugee families that St. Mark's sponsors. And I was like, 2? I said, we tried to do something about refugees in Kearney and couldn't get anything going at all in between the Presbyterians and every Methodists and the Episcopal, nobody. So I was so happy to have that word, and that's been a few years ago. Who would have thought then that we'd have this wonderful time together? It's been, we're tired, but we are so grateful. And I think all the meals Judy Buhar fixed for us when we were there before, and Mark fed us later, and so and Natalie, we had wanted so much more time individually with people, and COVID just had other ideas. So instead, I gave Annie Pools all my mother's letters she wrote when she all my life to her mother and other friends. So, and I have a few questions. So.
I don't know where he's gone on the screen. Oh, I see where he's gone. Joe Deniston joined us at some point.
Yes, he did. I saw that.
There he is. There he is.
There he is.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
Hey there.
And Kenny's with Kim.
With Natalie.
Yeah.
Yes, Kenny.
There's.
So wonderful. We've got a couple of students there.
Yep. There we are.
Joe, say hi.
Hello.
And Leroy has joined us. Ken is in the background up there someplace.
Yep, there he is.
Hi, Ken.
Yeah.
Hello.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'm thinking when we get the new roof installed, it should be named the Chuck Peak roof, kind of like the Tom Osborne Field at Memorial Stadium. We were sitting around thinking Mark Music and Todd and me and Pippa and all of us thinking about, oh my gosh, we got to fix the roof. How do we raise the money? We're in the middle of a pandemic with all the financial uncertainty. How is this ever going to work? How are we going to do it? And Father Chuck just said, sometimes you just have to step out in faith. And we did. And wow, how did it work? It worked out wonderfully. We're doing so well with that campaign. And so I always think of you as being instrumental in getting that going, Father Chuck, because you convinced me sometimes you have to step out in faith, and it really works. As my son-in-law said when I told him about it when they were down here a few days ago, he said, yeah, it was kind of a loaves and fishes experience, wasn't it?
Oh, gosh. This whole thing has been like that, hasn't it?
And a good camping time down there?
Yeah, they did. Now they took off a little bit early because they decided we've got to see the Grand Canyon. And even as we were on this Zoom, I got a text from them showing a picture of the snowy Grand Canyon. So
oh wow,
they're looking at it. It said snow and cloudy, but the clouds are lifting, the snow is going away, and they're going to hike. So that's what they're doing. For the rest of you, that's my daughter and her husband and their two sons who are 13 and 11 years old. And
oh, what a time. Yeah.
They camped in a regional park and it said it was the best campground they'd ever been in. It was wonderful. They went to sleep to the sound of the coyotes wailing. So.
Chuck's summer job when we moved to Flagstaff was cleaning those campgrounds.
Well, whoever's doing it now is doing a good job. I hope you did too.
They had told us, told me in the interview when I went on the faculty at Northern Arizona, that the paychecks only came in for 10 months. You got paid 10 months at a time and there was no pay came to you in the summer. They took your 12 months and gave it to you in 10 months. I had apparently quickly forgotten that because we got down to summer and suddenly I realized there'd be no paycheck coming in during the summer. And I had a very good friend who worked summers for the Forest Service and he got me on real quickly. And we did some interesting things, including eliminating all the human things from a wilderness area, but also cleaned a lot of campgrounds.
Right.
Pam?
Yeah, I have just a quick question. I can't stay much longer, but I'm looking right at Mark's face. So I have to ask you, Mark, have you started on the poem yet?
I was thinking that,
you know, January is coming up.
Well, I have started on the poem. I just need some more subject matter for it, but we're going to have a poem for the annual meeting.
Good to hear. You just want to think about
the annual meeting if there wasn't a poem, would there?
You're not going to cancel the annual meeting because of this, are you?
Because of the poem, you mean?
Right, because of the poem.
Well, just start figuring out what rhymes with COVID. There must be a lot of stuff that rhymes with COVID.
I was thinking more Charles and Nancy. That's what I think of rhyming in Charles and Nancy.
Oh no.
Well, I wish you would teach Larry Resnicek something about rhyming.
Opal and all the search committee, when I was seeing Bob to his car, and I'm still shocked as can be that he drove all the way out here. This is incredible. But we're so excited about Father Robert coming. It seems like just the right thing for St. Mark's, and I think the campus is going to be excited. I think it's just really a super, super deal. And we look forward to St. Mark's future. It's good to see that St. Mark's hasn't lost its courage and its devotion and its quirkiness. That's pretty important. Pretty important.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the whole committee felt that way too.
Well, Mary. You're mute, Mary. We can't hear you.
Yeah. Yeah, Mary. Yeah, that's good.
It's not. Are we here?
She doesn't know how to unmute.
No, she is unmuted. She.
So Mary, you might have to switch speakers. Use that little microphone icon on the bottom left of your screen. To the right of the microphone icon is an up caret. If you click that, it'll see if you've got other microphone options on your computer setup. And maybe you're just clicked on the wrong microphone option.
Just leave.
Or maybe your microphone volume is turned down. If you know how to change that.
Okay, well.
Okay,
You
we've
got
got
there.
you.
There.
Yeah.
Hear you.
So you can hear me? Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate you, Father Chuck and Nancy, and you made Susan Robinson's Christmas a much brighter Christmas than I'm sure it would have been. And just to let everybody else know, Father Chuck did an Ollie class in the middle of all of this online. I don't know how you have found the time or the energy to do that, Father Chuck, in the spring. A 6-week class meeting weekly for 90 minutes. So, you know, as if you didn't have enough to do already, you did that as well. So that was an excellent class.
Good.
Good
Great.
group.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Well, anybody else want to share something?
I want to find out something. Joe, are you still in Portland?
No, I got back into Lincoln on Sunday.
Well, I thought the apartment looked familiar from the other. Good. Well, you may not know this, Joe, but Taylor did not get to go home because somebody at home had COVID.
Oh.
So he's been there over the holidays. So you guys will have a chance to touch base and then a chance to meet Father Magola, and that'll be.
Yeah.
I may have missed this, and maybe people thanked all the musicians, but I'm looking at Roger and Pippa and Laura, and I'm
Kevin.
probably missing, that's been so beautiful, and that wonderful, I don't even know what to call it, the sing along.
Oh, the carols. The bird choir.
That I think Natalie organized part of that, or all the Zooms have been good. Yeah.
Well, COVID and all this social distancing has pushed us all to be as creative as possible. So if that comes out of this, then you know it's good for the whole country.
Yeah.
And that's what I noticed about your term as interim rector, was that you made it so interesting. You brought in so many new ideas that we actually implemented, you know, and usually an interim comes in and, you know, you have the church on Sunday and then you just kind of like a hill and valley. Well, you kind of made it so it was hill upon hill upon hill, interesting.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. Thank you, Connie.
Yeah, it's nice.
I didn't participate in as many of the things as many of you did, but I did love the summer courtyard.
Yes.
And I really enjoyed the services that you led, that I was able to attend. So in the future, you're going to pay us a lot of visits under normal circumstances.
Under normal circumstances.
Yeah. A little breathing room for you guys. You know,
settled in.
You can't ever get rid of peaks ever.
People have tried and failed.
Come back and meet Father Magola and see how we're doing.
That's right. And I think I'm right in this. in the time we could have public worship before the COVID came, I think you and your family, Kim, were there every Sunday.
Mhm.
Probably.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yep.
Well, we are not many hours away from a brand new year. And I know that all of us and our little church has been so blessed and enriched by your 11 months with us. And I'm going to repeat what Winnie the Pooh said, how lucky I am to have something that makes saying goodbye so hard.
Yes.
You have left us with so
that's-
much.
Yes, yes. And for us too.
Us
Yeah.
too. Yep.
You
Yep.
guys have been great.
So I don't want to wind things up here, but at the same time, I don't want people to think that they, if they have plans for tonight, even in the midst of this strange time. Any last things that anybody wants to share here?
Just thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone, really.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
that's
It was
perfect.
a wonderful
Thank you,
year.
everyone.
A
Yeah.
quirky new year.
Thank
With-
you.
Didn't know when you signed on that you were going to be facing
No,
a huge challenge that has engulfed us all.
you never know what you're going to face. Yeah.
No.
But you know what? This is a
There's
very creative
Francine.
congregation. Hi, Francine.
Hey, Francine.
Francine.
Hi,
Where are you, Francine?
I'm home
You're home?
in Omaha.
Good to see you.
Good to have you. We were just talking about
Oh, there she is.
what a challenging year it has been in many ways, but what a fulfilling one. Oops.
Oops. There she is. She's back.
She's turning. It's okay.
Francine, for all of your
Yes.
information, Francine graduates this coming spring.
Yes, and I
Yay,
have some
congratulations.
really exciting news about that too.
Can you tell us?
Yes, I got into vet school.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes.
Where are you going?
Oh, vet school.
Yeah,
that's
so
good.
I'll be attending. UNL has a reciprocal program with Iowa State, so I'll be attending there. I'll be going to school in Lincoln for 2 years and then in Ames, Iowa for 2 years. So,
Oh, good. So we get to
Okay.
do 2 more years.
That's terrific.
Yay.
The 2 years in Lincoln come first and then Ames?
yeah. So I'll stick around for 2 more years.
That's doubly good news.
Wonderful. Yes.
Good. I'll be in the choir, right?
Congratulations.
Of course, yeah.
Yay.
Good. Great.
Yes.
See, good news around every corner.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And while I was here, speaking of choir, I did a duet with my sister. And yeah, you can still see it. All Saints did a virtual lessons and carols. So if you search All Saints Episcopal Church Omaha on YouTube, you'll probably be able to find the lessons and carols video.
Okay.
So, and we're like towards the end, but yeah, it's kind of cool. So
Oh, thank you. What a great tip.
How old is your sister now?
she's 19.
19.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, if we didn't dampen your enthusiasm through several years of camp, I think you can make it.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to hop on and say hi and to say bye to Father Chuck. And I hope you all have a lovely New Year's Eve celebration and see you in 2021.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's a good wish for all of us to each other.
Yes.
Everybody
Yeah.
stay safe.
Yes. You all stay safe And hopefully we'll see each other face to face very soon.
That's right.
Yes, yes.
Happy New Year, all.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Happy
Year,
New Year.
everybody.
Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks, and ever thanks.
And Robbie, thanks for setting this up.
Yes, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Yes.
Thanks so many people for joining us. This has been a really big
Oh,
party.
Yes,
awesome.
that's wonderful. And thank you for moderating, Pippa. That was great.
Lovely as always.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Well, everybody, God bless, and join us 10:30 this Sunday. That's day after tomorrow. Mother Mary will be leading us in morning prayer. And onward, new year, new life for St. Mark's. And Father Chuck and Nancy, you stay in touch.
And a new child in the refugee family.
Yes, that's right. That's right. One of our Ukrainian brothers, the one that didn't have 5 children, now have a baby. So they're all doing well, and they have stayed well. And as a matter of fact, I went and visited our Corinne family yesterday, and they have a new home. They have in 5 years, they've been able to move out of their little tiny apartment and have a nice home on South 9th. So everyone's thriving.
Wow, great.
Be
Nice
proud.
to feel you've been a part of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's been fulfilling for all of us.
Absolutely.
All right, well, shall we?
Prayers and blessings. Prayers and blessings. Thank you,
Happy
Amanda.
New Year.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Roger.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm still here.
You're looming large.
Yes, I am.
We're living large.
You do have you have a sparkly sweater.
Oh, yes.
I was thinking of your Facebook
room this evening.
She said she was trying to decide what to wear to her living room.
Yes, that's it. Happy New Year.
Okay, I'm going to end everything now.
All right.
Happy New Year.
Bye now. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. It's been a wonderful year with you.
Well, I couldn't think what we were going to talk about for 2 hours.
And guess what? It was very easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was gonna talk a little bit about that burial service we had for my friend and his mother's ashes, but then I
For
thought,
Lee.
Yeah,
that was so wonderful that you did that, Father Chuck. You know, because he was not a religious guy at all, let me tell you, but I was, and it felt good to me, and so that.
Charlie, out there somewhere, there's a series of things about remembering Lincoln the way it was some time back, and there's remembrances of Golds and Miller and Payne, and
Right.
I think it's King's Food Host, but one of the things people remember has something from Lee Unland that was written. So I know this was done quite a while back.
Yeah, he did that. That was quite a while back, and he wrote it. It was about Ideal Grocery.
That's Ideal Grocery. That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they just republished that again just a few days ago. So
that's right. That's when I saw it. Yeah. Well,
okay.
Thank you. And Roger, wish Connie a happy New Year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.